Alright, say whatever you want to about the burn-in issues, but let's be realistic. When it comes to viewing experiences, OLEDs are just far better than LCD panels. And ASUS has been trying their best to bring OLED panels to the laptop segments while minimizing the burn-in in the display as well as reducing the burn-in in the holes of your pockets. Now, we previously reviewed the ZenBook OLED that brings about a great panel for a never before seen price point. However, it seems like ASUS has upped the ante by bringing the OLED tech to an even cheaper price tag. Behold the ASUS Vivobook K15 OLED. So, is this laptop really that good? And is the panel on this thing really that much better as compared to its competitors? And more importantly, what all corners has ASUS cut, if any, to bring OLED at this kind of a price point? Well, that's what this video is all about. This is Varun from GTR, and you're watching my in-depth review of the ASUS Vivobook K15 OLED. Let's get started. Alright, so let's kick things off by talking about the design here. Now, I won't be dwelling much into it. You can watch various of our previous Vivobook reviews and get the idea, cause the design here is, well, literally the same. ASUS legit hasn't changed anything here. You still get a plain plastic lid. Though, honestly, I think I would pick this any day over the concentric circle design on the ZenBooks. It weighs about 1.8 kgs, which makes it quite portable for a 15.6-inch chassis laptop. Now, in terms of I/O, you get two USB 2.0 Type A ports on the left side, while over to the right side, you get a DC charging port, a full-size HDMI port, a USB 3.2 Gen 1 port, a USB 3.2 Gen 1 Type C port, a 3.5mm headphone jack, and a microSD card slot. Now, overall, the design here is simple, minimal, and quite practical. It's definitely not the slimmest, nor does it have the slimmest bezels here, but these are slight compromises for the bigger goal, which is the display. Yup, the display. The Vivobook K15 OLED packs in the best panel in this segment with ease. Now, color reproduction on this is great, and the panel is actually color calibrated as well. It comes with 100% DCI P3 gamut and is Pantone validated. Now, I don't really like the glossy finish here, but well, that was to be expected considering this is an OLED panel. Credit to ASUS though, the peak brightness here is about 600 nits sustained, which makes outdoor legibility pretty good. Now, one thing that I would like to highlight, however, is that this is an 8-bit panel. That's one of the compromises that ASUS has done. Now, don't get me wrong, it's still a far better panel as compared to the LCDs out there. But I know there are folks out there who thought that, oh well, ASUS is just bringing the same panel they've introduced with the ZenBook OLEDs to the Vivobook OLEDs. That's not the case. The ZenBook OLEDs had a 10-bit panel with support for proper HDR10 content, while this one is just an 8-bit panel. I know just an 8-bit sounds like, I'm criticizing it. I'm not. I'm definitely not. Like I said, it's a much better panel as compared to the LCD ones. But just keep in mind that this panel and the one on the ZenBook OLED are very different. For a normal user, that's barely going to make a massive difference anyway. But you will notice a difference in content consumption while watching movies or shows on Netflix, so there's that. Also, it's a 60Hz refresh rate, which is fine considering the laptop isn't designed for gaming anyway. Like, okay, let's be clear here. You are anyway looking at this laptop primarily for that display here. Everything else is secondary. Now, if you keep that sentiment in mind, well, the display here is definitely top notch. And thankfully, it's not like ASUS has given everything else a second-hand treatment. Everything else around it is decent enough for sure. I mean, let's talk about the keyboard and the touchpad here. They're decently sized, with the keyboard having amazing key travel and nice feedback, while the touchpad has a smooth surface to use. Gestures work very well here, and I doubt you would have any complaints here. The touchpad area also houses a fingerprint scanner, though the accuracy is just as bad as it used to be. Now, speaking of not so good things, let's talk about the webcam here. Now, it does have decent colors and that's about it. The quality is pretty shabby. The frame rate is fine, but actually even the colors have a bit of warmth to them, a little bit of extra added warmth, and nah, I don't really like it. There's a lot of noise, graininess here, and yeah, it's not a good footage for sure. Sure, it might be fine for your average video calls, but that's about it. As for the mics, I'll let you guys be the judge. The audio is being recorded via the laptop's internal mics, so Now, to my surprise, the audio on this does get quite loud. However, not to my surprise, the audio does lack quality. In fact, the whole laptop vibrates and not in a good way. It's just a very underwhelming experience. Basically, you gain some and you lose some. But let's leave that aside. Let's talk about the performance here. Now, our unit here comes equipped with some pretty good specs for the price. You get an 11 Gen Intel Core i5 1135G7 processor coupled with 16GB of DDR4 3200 MHz RAM. There's a 256GB NVMe SSD from Kingston and another 1TB hard disk. As for GPU, you have the integrated Intel Z graphics, and that's about it. Now, on paper, that sounds like a pretty good package, and it kind of delivers for the most part. See, the laptop flies through day-to-day tasks easily without any stutters or issues. Now, my normal usage was juggling through 20 plus tabs in Microsoft Edge or Chrome, listening to Spotify, making thumbnails on Photoshop, and watching a YouTube video or a show on Netflix. I mean, that last part is very crucial, especially on a panel like this. And all throughout, I faced zero issues whatsoever. As for GPU, the Z graphics are not your ideal choice for gaming for sure, but if you want, you can fire up a game or two of Valorant or Rocket League at the lowest settings on this. Now keep in mind that the laptop isn't designed for that, so of course the experience will just about be satisfactory. Now in terms of upgradability, you can upgrade a single slot of RAM while also having the ability to change the storage, since you have both a 2.5-inch SATA HDD port and an M.2 PCIe 3.0 port. Interestingly, the laptop is cooled by a single fan, and to be honest, that kind of shows. Like, if you compare it with something like the Realme Book Slim that has a dual fan setup, the Vivobook K15 does heat up quite quickly as compared to that laptop. And this is a noteworthy thing when you're trying to use apps like Photoshop with multiple layers. You know, this thing would considerably heat up after 15 to 20 minutes of usage, while with the Realme Book, I am yet to notice any issues even under prolonged use. So that's the kind of a difference that you can expect. Now, lastly, there's the battery life. You get a 42 watt-hour battery here, which ASUS claims should last you an entire day. Now, in my testing, the laptop was able to deliver about 4.5 hours of battery backup. That isn't exactly great or anything, but to be honest, I would have been fine with it. The part that kind of upsets me is that this thing does not come with USB power delivery. See, here's the thing, 4.5 hours of battery backup is something that I can live with, but the fact that I have to carry a special different charger for this laptop is something that I'm not okay with, considering that it's 2021, almost 2022. So yeah, that is something where ASUS could have done some work, but they have clearly cut a corner there. So yeah. So, bottom line, is the Vivobook K15 OLED worth it? Well, yes, and also no. Okay, let's understand the use case here. The OLED panel is definitely something that will attract a lot of content creators, but then you have a lot of limiting performance here as well. So, I mean, as an overall complete package, while the panel is great, you still have other options like the Realme Book Slim and the Mi Notebook Ultra that offer better performance than this one. And they're still 100% sRGB panels. So for a content creator, I think you'd be better off going for a color calibrated panel with good performance as opposed to OLED but restricted performance. Now to summarize, I'll just say that the ASUS Vivobook K15 asks you to come for the display and then settle for everything else. Not stay, settle. And well, that was it. If you found this video helpful, make sure to let us know by giving us a thumbs up and subscribing to our channel for more awesome tech content. Till then, this is Vam from GTR, and I'll see you in the next one.